It's time for SummerSlam 1991, a match made in heaven and a match made in hell. We also had an all-time classic for the Intercontinental Championship between Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. Excellence versus perfection. And the results were good. The company was starting to shift from rock and roll wrestling to the new generation, but the big news since WrestleMania is around a certain former WCW World Champion. Yes, I said former. It's a man technically not on the show tonight. Ric Flair is on his way, big gold belt in hand. So WCW let him go. They fired him as their world champion, which is just absolutely stupidity. Good to know WCW can do this stupidity years before the year 2000, right? Flair is not the only one to jump ship from WCW to WWE or WWF. Sid Vicious is also here. He will be the special guest referee for the match made in hell tonight. It was discussed in the newsletters at the time that Vince had apparently offered him the WrestleMania 8 main event against Hogan. We'll see if that happens, but tonight, special guest referee for the main event. He's quite a big name signing for this time, to be fair. A lot of people don't like his work, but Sid Vicious is here. And when I say Sid Vicious, I mean Sid Justice, because, you know, yeah, WWE, right? Also, after WrestleMania 7 on a WWE Super World of Sports sort of super show, there was this major shoot incident. You may have heard of it. Earthquake was involved, and a guy called, let me check. Kobe Katao, that's his name. Basically, this Katao decided to just start fighting Earthquake. I don't know why you try and fight a man that size. I mean, look at him. Look, he's called Earthquake for a reason. But yeah, tried to fight him. When he realised that wasn't work, he kicked the referee. The referee disqualified him, and then this guy got on the mic afterwards saying, "Wrestling's fake, blah, blah, blah." In Japan, in the early 90s, that's a crime. That is a crime. Pretty famous incident, to be fair, and yeah, I'm sure you've heard of it. There are videos out there on the internet. Go and watch it. It's quite just bizarre. What? I don't know. Bruce Pritchard has not got something to wrestle with at this particular time anyway. He's been fired. He will be back sort of 1992, but he is not with the company at the moment. I believe it was a personal issue, so no podcast just yet. He will be back, but I believe it was a personal issue, so fair play. Fair play. Fair play. I'm keeping it in. Now, another big story in the summer of 1991 is the start of the steroids trials. Attention has quickly turned to Hulk Hogan. It was a doctor on trial, but he sort of name dropped Hulk Hogan in it, and Hogan has had to come out and deny doing any steroids at all. It's a complete mess for the company, for Vince McMahon. It's gonna get worse as well. Roddy Piper was called up to testify in this doctor's trial and had to admit to using steroids, which is just not a good look, especially him. It's not like it's not a good look at all. Hulk Hogan made it worse as well. He went on the Arsenio Hall show, I believe it's called, and sort of said, "I've done steroids in the past. I did them at these times and these times, but I haven't done them since, brother. Definitely not." But his times didn't match up with the actual correct. You could tell Hogan was lying. Go back and watch that interview. Seriously, do it. It is one of the worst interviews of Hogan's career, even now, and he's done some bad publicity. That's one of the worst ones he's done. We're going to be hearing more of this. Future videos, you will hear more of this scandal. But on to the show, which is held at Madison Square Garden. Now, the spiritual home of the WWE, of course, in New York, but at this point, it wasn't really a pay-per-view venue. In fact, it's only the third pay-per-view to be held in the hallowed halls of Madison Square Garden, but it was a regular sort of local cable show sort of thing. They did lots of tapings there. MSG was a big part in this time frame for the WWE, so to see them there isn't a surprise, but to see this only be the third pay-per-view in history, that is a little bit of a surprise. The opening rundown has this graphic knocked up for the match made in heaven. We're going to see the wedding, of course, of the Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. Randy Savage is full babyface now, by the way. Yeah, we're going to see the wedding of those two, and then the match made in hell as well. We'll get to in just a little bit, but we're going to open the show with 6-man tag team action. It's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, it's the British Bulldog, and the Texas Tornado against Slick's guys. You've got the Warlord, and you've got Power and Glory Hercules, of course, teaming with his partner, whose name has totally gone. I'm gonna look. It is Paul Roma. Of course it's Paul Roma. What is wrong with me? Anyway, Ricky Steamboat, the Dragon. Haha, right. Let's just, elephant in the room, or dragon in the room. Ricky Steamboat did not need the Dragon character. That's the short end of it. A guy like him, with his ability, putting on the matches that he just put on with Ric Flair at this time period, to do that, that's a crime against professional wrestling. I'm saying it now, crime against professional wrestling. But he's in the opener here, and the truth is, this 6-man tag had some pretty good workers in it, because obviously Steamboat, but Bulldog's pretty good at this time. Tornado, when he could be bothered, was pretty good. And on the heel side, Paul Roma's, you know, a really underrated professional wrestler. And then you've got the Warlord and Hercules, that when they're booked correctly as power guys, it's entertaining. This was absolutely fine. Ran over 10 minutes, good start to the show, with the faces, of course, coming out on top. Really, really hyped the crowd up. It's just a pretty good start to the show. What is interesting, after I just mentioned the steroids trial, is to look at Warlord and Texas Tornado. I'm saying nothing. There was one odd spot in the match though. Hercules came in to sort of break up a pinfall attempt, missed the clothesline, but the referee stopped counting anyway. It was a little bit odd. It wasn't a kick out, kind of a botch, but they got through it. And in the end, Ricky Steamboat hit his traditional esteemed crossbody for the 1, 2, 3. This is getting 2.5 stars from me. Now it's pretty good. It's good action, good workers, like I said, exciting tag team action, good way to start a pay-per-view. However, what really brings this down is I have no idea why it was happening. You've stuck 3 baby faces together with no storyline reason for them to be taking on Slick's guys. It needed a bit more effort put in really to be on a pay-per-view, but this is what the early 90s was like at times. Good action. I don't really want complaining too much. 2.5 stars to start the show is pretty good. For this time period, pretty good, but give me a reason to care, people. From there, we went to a backstage segment between Mr. Perfect and his new manager, the Coach. Now, Mr. Bobby Heenan is no longer the manager of Mr. Perfect because he stepped down from the managerial role. He is on commentary, but that's such a shame because Mr. Heenan, I'm giving him the respect he deserves. He was fantastic as a manager, and yeah, it is a bit of a shame. But I believe he was sort of having issues with his back, I believe, and being on the road and whatnot. So this is what they came up with. The Coach would go on to manage the Beverly Brothers as well. We'll get to them. Oh, we'll get to them. But yeah, it's a bit of a change. But Mr. Perfect is taking on Bret Hart for the Intercontinental Championship tonight. Perfect has held the title for quite a while here. For quite a while. So will tonight be the night for a new champion in the excellence of execution? Bret made his entrance to a big pop, and it's quite interesting because it's a really different time in Bret Hart's career at this point. Now, at SummerSlam 1988, I've got written down here. Yes, SummerSlam 1988, the first ever one, he was in a tag match. SummerSlam 89, he was in a tag match. SummerSlam 90, I hear you, he was in a tag match, you damn right. But at SummerSlam 1991, he is not in a tag match. He is in a singles match for the Intercontinental Championship, his first singles match on pay-per-view in his career. This is a big night for the Hitman. So, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, excellence of execution versus perfection for the Workman's title. You may have heard of this one. Now, it's worth noting straight away that Mr. Perfect comes into this with quite a serious back injury, but still pulls off an incredible performance. Seriously, this is like WrestleMania 14, Shawn Michaels, incredible working through an injury performance. So good from Mr. Perfect. There's a really great story being told in this match regarding the actual grappling and sort of on the mat wrestling. Mr. Perfect's whole character is that he thinks he's the very best wrestler in the company. He's got the title really to prove it as well. But Bret Hart matches him move for move on the mat here. Everything Perfect tries, Bret Hart has got a counter to, and that's the point. This is one of the matches that people look to and point to from a kayfabe point of view, that Bret Hart's character about being the best damn wrestler in this company. This is one of the matches that proven it. Anyway, this is one of the matches they point to, and it's for damn good reason. After being out-wrestled a few times, Perfect turns to his cheating, he grabs the hair, but you know what? Mr. Perfect is not the only one who can pull hair. Bret Hart even matches him on that too. He is getting everything he needs to get from this match, Bret Hart, right now. He is matching Perfect move for move, and the heel is struggling. Then a big spot. Mr. Perfect nails the Perfect Plex for the 1, 2, no. Bret Hart kicks out of the Perfect Plex. Now, it's said on commentary that this is the first time the Perfect Plex has been kicked out of, and that's cool and all. People talk about it like it's true, but I'm going to dispel a myth. It's not. 1990, the Ultimate Warrior kicked out of it, and I'm pretty sure Hogan kicked out of it at some point too before this match, but it's still a pretty cool moment because people don't kick out of finishers. In 1991 very often. Big match, big title on the line, big spot, big rub for Bret Hart. Now in the end, Bret Hart eventually counters a leg drop into the sharpshooter, and Mr. Perfect taps out clean. Taps out clean. We have a new Intercontinental Champion in the Hitman, Bret Hart. This is getting 4 stars from me. What a match. Honestly, what a match. If there's one thing that you need to watch this week, that is the match you want to watch. Bret the Hitman Hart and Mr. Perfect. Incredible. It's 18 minutes of pure wrestling joy for the Workman's title, the Intercontinental Championship, which has never ever been hotter, by the way, at this point. It is just superb. It's an all-time classic, an all-time SummerSlam classic, an all-time pay-per-view classic, and just something you need to go and see. This was the crowning achievement for Bret Hart. His singles career will go from strength to strength to strength. Mr. Perfect, probably the last sort of massive match for him. He will be in the company, he will be involved in big stuff, but this was the last huge match for him in a way. But Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, I mean, is it perfect, if you excuse the pun? Not quite perfect. I think it's still a very good match, but one thing I wish they kind of did is played Perfect's bad back into the story. Maybe didn't need to be so short, could have had more time on it. 4 stars though, 4 stars. And the truth is, it's one of these matches that has probably suffered in time. If I was watching this live in 1991, would it get 5 stars? Potentially. But compared to some of the matches we've seen since, I know that's not fair, but compared to some of the matches we've seen since, that's why it's getting the 4 stars. From the excellent to the not so excellent, it's time for a Bushwhackers match. Do I have to? Do I have to do this? I don't want to do it. It's the Bushwhackers versus the Natural Disasters. Andre the Giant is in the babyface's corner. The Natural Disasters, by the way, are Earthquake and Typhoon, who was Tugboat, now turned heel, because, you know, that's a better way to turn him heel rather than turning him on his best friend Hulk Hogan to do a big WrestleMania match last year. No, we had to get Sergeant Slaughter, which we're still suffering. I just don't get it. Andre was attacked by Earthquake to build up to this match on Superstars. I'm assuming we were meant to get Earthquake versus Andre, which does sound pretty good in theory until you realise it's 1991. And Andre the Giant has no business being in a wrestling ring. Well, they realised that, didn't they? And obviously this was what they came up with instead. This. I am fuming. I am fuming that we have to even do this, by the way. Right, let's talk about the match. The match should have been a simple squash. It wasn't. The Bushwhackers got way too much offense. Like, seriously, way too much. Andre in their corner. Why? Just why? Anyway, Earthquake did get the win for his team, which is something good that came out of this. Something good, even if Andre wore the stupid Bushwhackers hat. He did. I mean, the best part of the match was Bobby Heenan walking away. He just left commentary and walked away to the back because even he knows the Bushwhackers not worth watching. Negative star. Negative star. I'm saying it. Negative star. Worst match for a while that I've had to review on this channel. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad, and such a terrible way for Andre the Giant to have his last major moment in the WWE. That's right, I don't believe he's seen again. Sad. This match runs 6 minutes and 26 seconds. Yes, 26 seconds. 6 minutes and 26 seconds, which means it's 6 minutes and 26 seconds too long. After the match, the Legion of Doom came out to save Andre from another natural disasters attack, which kind of gives away the result of the tag team match later on with the Legion of Doom versus the Nasty Boys. You would think, we'll get to that. But yeah, Legion of Doom, why not do that match then instead? I mean, I know they're getting a tag title match later on, but I mean, there's just so many other things they could have done here, but they chose the Bushwhackers. Look at the baby faces, by the way, in the 6-man tag with Ricky Steamboat versus, and British Bulldog and Texas Tornado. Why not do Ricky Steamboat and British Bulldog here sticking up for Andre? Wouldn't that have been better? Yes, yes it would. Interesting backstage segment then as Bobby Heenan knocks on the door of the world champion, sorry, the WWE champion, Hulk Hogan, holding the gold belt in hand. It's basically a challenge from the real world champion, a man who gets named on the pay-per-view while still employed for WCW, I believe, or he ain't long been fired. Ric Flair. Incredible. This is mind-blowing stuff in 1991. Imagine, the best way for me to say this is, imagine there's rumours that Kenny Omega, when he was world champion, was not getting on with the company, potentially could be leaving, and then all of a sudden the AEW World Championship turned up on WWE TV, and all of a sudden Kenny Omega's name got mentioned, challenging Big E or Roman Reigns. Mind-blowing stuff in 1991. Incredible. Okay, up next, the $1 Million Championship is on the line. This is a rematch from WrestleMania. It's Ted DiBiase defending against his old buddy. Buddy's the wrong word. Maybe a servant, because that's what it felt like. Virgil. Now, this feud has actually started at the Royal Rumble and has been going on quite a while since then. Probably a little too long. I think they expected Virgil to be better in the ring than he actually was, which is why the feud went on so long. Working with a guy like Ted DiBiase surely is going to help him, I understand that, but the truth is Virgil just isn't very good. I did appreciate the start of the match. They started hot with some actual brawling, really hyped up the crowd after what they just watched with the Bushwhackers, and this was okay. Ted DiBiase really carries it, Virgil holds his own to a point, and the fans were, well, not as invested as they'd have liked them to be. It didn't help that the match originally ended on a DQ. It was restarted because apparently Earl Hebner has the power to go, no, that's not happening. I'm a referee, we restart the match apparently. Yep, no idea. But yeah, it's okay, it is okay. What have I got written down here for you? We got a ref bump soon into the restarted match. DiBiase had the match won, but no ref. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, didn't matter. The heel was kind of cheated out of a win there. DiBiase then exposed a steel turnbuckle, and of course that came into play at the end. He went into his own steel turnbuckle. Virgil got the win. Virgil is the new $1 Million champion, which isn't a real belt, just so we're aware. Now, a bit of a shock, that end result, which kind of woke the crowd up, but they were super quiet during it, which says a lot about Virgil's push, really. The match was okay. The storytelling was pretty good. And the truth is, this is perhaps the match and the result and the finish that could have and should have happened at WrestleMania 8 to finish the feud. WrestleMania 7, sorry, I got ahead of myself there. But it should have happened at WrestleMania to finish the feud. Instead, it continued on to SummerSlam. We got there in the end, but by this point, who really cared? Let's just give it 1.5 stars, be done with it, because I hope they're done with it. They probably aren't done with it, are they? Time now then for a jailhouse match. The first match of its kind here in the WWE. I don't know if it happens again, but it's two police characters, of course, isn't it? The big boss man taking on the Mountie. Two men that character-wise were destined to do it over and over and over again. In a way, I'm hyping it up a little bit too much there, I think. It's basically a normal match, but the loser spends a night in jail. I mean, this is going one way, just one way. Now, Bossman's offense is pretty good. I've said that a few times in these videos, and this is quite a simple character story driven match type thing. You know, Bossman is passionate. but that passion turns into a bit of a temper, which costs him at time. While Mountie is a very hypocritical man, saying everyone needs to follow the law and follow the rules while he cheats. That's the whole point, really, of the Mountie, isn't it? There was a really nice near fall in this. Bossman hitting the Bossman slam, and for the second time in the show, someone's kicked out of a finisher. What was in the water in MSG tonight? I don't know. And as the usual finisher didn't work, Bossman needed something else to put the Mountie away. Say hello to the Alabama Slam. I really want to say Alabama Slammer, but that kind of would have worked with the police thing though. Why didn't they do that? That's brilliant. Anyway, the Alabama Slam, 1, 2, 3. The Mountie is off to jail, ladies and gentlemen. They had lots of skits for it as well after the match, and it's the right finish. It's a good finish. It's a decent match. It's a lower mid-card comedy match. It's pretty good, character driven. 2 stars from me. 2 stars. It's not going to get more than that because it's not amazing. It's not Bret perfect. But it's pretty good, 2 stars. As I say, after the match, Mountie was dragged away to prison. He did all the fingerprint stuff, lots of different skits. You could tell they had some fun filming it, and it's fine. It's fine. It's good storyline stuff. Better placed, modern day fan thinking, better placed on TV, but it's fine for pay-per-view in 1991. But let's get down to some nitty gritty, shall we? I've never said that before. Let's get down to some serious stuff because it's time for the tag team championships to be on the line, and it's time for a street fight. Now it's the Nasty Boys defending against the Legion of Doom, 2 brawling tag teams in a street fight. My excitement levels for this were pretty high. And then they let me down. They absolutely let me down because this is a street fight. No disqualifications. So why are they tagging in and out? Why? Tag. Why? Tag. Why are you doing it? Just why? Why? It's no disqualification. If Animal and Hawk decide to both be in the ring together, the referee can do absolutely nothing about it. Why are they tagging in? It's my biggest pet peeve in professional wrestling. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. The match eventually did break down and the motorcycle helmet was used. That, well, didn't quite work out for the heels this time out, and the Legion of Doom got the win to win their first ever WWE Tag Team Championships. Big moment, terrible match. Terrible match though, that's the problem. Now the match just should have been so much better than it was. That's the truth of the matter. You had 4 decent brawling workers and the match type was perfect for them. These guys could have gone out and had a 15-minute absolute violent fight. Instead they had a traditional tag match with a finish. That's the truth of the matter. It just wasn't booked to what it could have been. Now it's a big moment. LOD's first tag team championships in the WWE, and they've now won them in all the major companies. Big moment for them, but I'm just left with this, I don't know, shred of disappointment. I was so looking forward to this being pretty good, and it just wasn't. A problem with it is that it's a kind of, it's too short as well. Like, you could have took the time off the Bushwhackers and added it to this and actually fleshed it out a little bit more, and it would have been a better match. I'm giving it 1.5 stars. I am disappointed in you. Look, I'm not angry, Legion of Doom. I'm not angry, Nasty Boys. I'm not angry, Vince McMahon. I'm just disappointed. Okay, what could have and should have been squash time next as the IRS takes on Greg the Hammer Valentine. Now, Valentine as a babyface is very, very rare, particularly in the WWE, but he's right at the tail end of his career here, so he's working this babyface role. IRS is the heel on the rise. This is surely going one way. It is only going one way. The IRS does get the win with a roll-up, but this goes 7 minutes. 7 minutes. And the real problem with this, not just from a show enjoyment point of view, but from a booking point of view. You telling me in kayfabe that this young heel on the rise that you want to book and get behind, you want to push him, you are going to tell me that in kayfabe reasons he takes 7 minutes to put away Greg the Hammer Valentine in 1991. Valentine is that much of a threat to him in 1991 that it takes 7 minutes to win the match. Does nothing for the character, does nothing for IRS. I know he's a chicken shit heel, but at the end of the day, this should have been 2 or 3 minutes and he gets the win. The finish they chose was fine. Just do more for the character, boys. Just do more for the character. I'm gonna give it 0.5 star. Okay, final match of the night then. You notice I say final match, not the main event, because the wedding is the main event. Yeah, but it's the match made in hell. We have Sid Justice. Now I said justice. Do not No. He's Justice, not Vicious. Justice. Get it through your head, okay? Okay? Well, he's the special guest referee. It's Sergeant Slaughter and his two cronies, Colonel Mustafa and General Adnan, against Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, the WWE champion, in a handicap match in the main event of SummerSlam. And the Iron Sheik in the main event of SummerSlam in 1991. For God's sake, what are we doing here? I was really worried about what this match would be. And in truth, that kind of helped me enjoy it a little bit more. I think my expectations were so low that it was okay, and that kind of pleased me. It was okay. Hogan and Warrior's popularity carried it through. Sarge bumped quite well. Sid Justice as referee did Sid Justice things like counting quickly for the finish. The faces won, no surprise to that. But Iron Sheik and General Adnan should not be in the... No, it shouldn't have happened. They should have done Hulk Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter in a Desert Rules match, which is what they did at MSG a month before this, and it was a really good match. Really underrated. Just saying. Do that there. Do that here. Just do it. Oh, so frustrating with the booking. I'm going to give the match a 1.5 stars, but let's move on to the most interesting part of the match, and it wasn't in ring and it wasn't on TV either, because it's a big story surrounding the Ultimate Warrior. You've heard this before, 100%. So after WrestleMania 7, Warrior went to Vince and said he thinks that he should have the same money as Hulk Hogan. The Ultimate Warrior thinks he's the same draw as Hulk Hogan. That's mistake number one. So Warrior eventually, after not getting the money, says, if you don't pay me this 150,000, I could be wrong on that, but if you don't pay me this amount of money, I'm not going to work SummerSlam. So Vince, wanting to make sure the announced SummerSlam main event happens, says, fine, I will pay you that money. The Ultimate Warrior works the SummerSlam main event. The Ultimate Warrior walks back through the curtain to find Vince McMahon in his face saying, pal, you're suspended, I think is what we're going to say here. He didn't say you're fired, I don't think. He is suspended, he will be back. But this is a big moment in Warrior's career. This is the moment, in a lot of ways, that the Ultimate Warrior went from a massive star, future first ballot Hall of Famer, to a top guy, but a guy that could have been more. Now, the steroids scandal also went to that as well, so it didn't help him. But this is the moment he lost Vince McMahon's trust. And he has no right to be trusted, the Ultimate Warrior, after this. If it's all about the money, what are we doing? If Ultimate Warrior thinks he's as big as a draw as Hulk Hogan, then, well, his WWE Championship reign would have gone on a bit better, would have gone on a bit longer as well, wouldn't it? Just saying, shoot me, I don't mind. Oh, and by the way, fun fact, this was actually Hulk Hogan's last SummerSlam match and appearance until the mid-2000s, as far as I'm aware. What a waste of Hulk Hogan this was. So the main event was the wedding between Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. I'm not actually going to go into too much detail on this just because there wasn't a lot of detail. Nothing really happened. It was a wedding, they got married, everyone was happy, we signed off the show. Really boring in a lot of ways. If you're not a big fan of the couple, which for a lot of people that didn't grow up in that era, myself included, it's not the same. It's just not the same. I get that it's a nice moment and it's Randy Savage who's got the charisma to make it acceptable, but yeah, it needed something a bit more dramatic happening here, and it didn't. The actual post-match angle, which aired on TV afterwards, where Jake Roberts ruined the celebration with snakes, that should have happened on the pay-per-view. Hot take. Not really a hot take. It should have happened on the pay-per-view. I kicked a chair there. Anyway, it was nice. The fans liked it. We ended the pay-per-view there. SummerSlam 1991. A really odd show. You had some really cool stuff. The Intercontinental Championship matches, match of the night, match of the year potentially as well. Very good match. You also had some good character work stuff with Bossman and Bounty. You had a decent 6-man tag to open it up, but the stuff that's bad on this is really bad. So IRS taking 7 minutes to beat Valentine just really annoys me. I really hate the tag match. I just so hate it. You also had the Bushwhackers on pay-per-view in 1991 because right? And then the main event, well, not the main event, obviously clearly not the main event, but the main match, Hogan and Warrior against the heels, it just could have been so much more. There's a lot of talent on this roster at this time, and the booking lets it down. kind of how the history tells us in WWE of how it goes later on as well. So it is what it is. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. You heard me right. It's lucky to get that. Don't watch this show. Don't watch this show. Watch the Intercontinental match, Intercontinental title match. Don't watch anything else. Just don't do it to yourself. God, don't do it to yourself. So that's SummerSlam 1991. Yeah, a really, really odd show, but you like to see me vent, right? So it is what it is. I'm hoping this video comes out around Christmas time, New Year time, depending on when I can get it edited. So if I do, hope you've had a good Christmas or will have a good Christmas. Hope you have a good New Year or will have had a good New Year. I don't know when it's coming out. There will be a brand new TW series on the channel at the start of January. It's me versus Stuart Irvine, WWE 2004, hashtag Team Raw baby. You know this. Yeah, make sure you are subscribed and following everything we do so that you cannot miss out on what should be a good series. We've got Survivor Series 1991 next up in this. And that's a pretty big show because that is a big show for The Undertaker. That's all I'm saying. Until next time, peace. I'm definitely recording, right? Yep.